So I don't know if you've got any more questions coming in from people, and you I know you're not in the Antarctic, but you are frozen on my screen. So it's amazing to me, Scott, in the midst of the world of AI and cryptocurrencies and all of the high-tech things that are happening these days, that we still sometimes have technical difficulties when we're doing a live program teaching people things that are important to their health. So hopefully we'll be able to resolve this. Um, you were frozen just a minute ago, but if you have some more questions, and if you see questions coming in, I've got my phone here. You can actually text me if you have any questions. So, okay, broccoli sprouts there from Susan D. Yes, broccoli sprouts are, broccoli is very, very healthy. It's got a nutrient in it called sulforaphane, which has been demonstrated to be very good to fight cancer. So I do grow broccoli sprouts. There's different ways you can grow them. You can grow them in, well, one way is to grow them in jars. So this is the simplest method. You put a little bit of seeds in here and then you soak them. But with broccoli seeds, I wouldn't soak them overnight. I would soak them for maybe just 3 hours because they're little seeds. Soak them during the day and then pour all the water out. Make sure it's all out. And then you follow basically the same method as the lentils. So you give them a little bath once and then a shower once or twice a day. You don't want them to dry out, but you don't want them to be too wet. And then you just let them sit on the side. Now with broccoli, you do want to grow them in a cool room. I don't recommend growing sprouts in a house that has no air conditioning. So especially if you're doing this over the summer, make sure the room is cool, and then you just keep rinsing them once or twice a day, and then the broccoli sprouts will start growing up. And once they grow up, with broccoli sprouts, I like to keep the jar in the dark, like under a cabinet, because once the little leaves start growing in the jar, they're sweeter if they're yellow, if the leaves are yellow. Once they start greening up, they're not as sweet. So I prefer just doing it that way, and then you put them in your refrigerator. So that's one way to grow broccoli sprouts. Another way is to use one of these trays. This is called Sprout Garden, and the way I would do it with this is I would take a spray bottle and I would spray the bottom of my tray so it's moist, and then I would sprinkle the broccoli seeds on here and try to make them even so they're not on top of each other, but you have a nice layer of seeds. And then you take your sprayer and you give them another good little spray so that they're moist, and then you cover this. And maybe after 12 hours, you lift it up and give them another little spray. And then another one after another 12 hours or 14 hours, 18 hours. So the idea is keep them moist, but don't drown them, and don't let them dry out. And after 3 or 4 days, you'll see those broccoli sprouts are starting to grow. And then once they get to the top of this lid, then I take the top off, and then I leave them in front of the window, not in direct sunlight, but close enough, and then they'll green up. And then you'll have a nice tray full of broccoli, what they call it. This will be a microgreen. If you just grow it in the jar, it's a sprout. But if you let it grow bigger, it's a microgreen. And I've used these trays so many times. I've grown all kinds of things in these Sprout Garden green trays, and they're fantastic.